Of course, the big story of the day, Omicron, the super mutant, has reached India, making it the 29th country in the world to report the coronavirus strain that has now triggered an alarm. Both cases have been reported. There are two cases so far which have been confirmed by the Health Ministry. Both of them are from Karnataka. The patients, one is aged 46 and the other is 66 years old. According to sources, while the 66-year-old is a foreigner with a history of travel to South Africa, the 46-year-old is a health worker in Bengaluru. One of them has taken both shots of the vaccine and the other is partially vaccinated. All right, some political reactions have now started coming in. Congress has attacked the centre, saying that it is because of the incompetence of the centre that you have the Omicron strain now reaching India. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has also said it's sad that we did not stop the flights from abroad earlier. Remember, it was yesterday where the Civil Aviation Ministry took the decision to not resume the international flights, which was supposed to happen on 15th of December. Let's listen in to what the Congress has said.
Omicron variant has been detected in South Africa and other countries, and we, Indian government and Karnataka government, had a lot of time to prepare for it. So if the variant is now declared that it has arrived in Karnataka, then certainly it is the failure of the state government and the central government. What were you doing? What were the measures you took? You have taken it very lightly. There is no strong steps you have taken to counter this. So if it has entered Karnataka state and it is spreading in the society today amongst the people, the government has to take responsibility now, state and the central government.
All right, Deepak Bopanna is joining us live from Bengaluru, because remember, both the cases confirmed positive so far hail from Karnataka. What more details do you have of these two confirmed cases?
Well, Padmaja, we are right now waiting for the Health Minister to arrive here at the Vidhan Sauda. He could in fact throw more light into, the contacts of these people, also the kind of measures that the state government is taking, while the Congress has already begun an all-out attack on both the state and the centre. But I have some details that's just come in from the BBMP, because these cases are being reported from Bengaluru, is what we are told now. One of them, of course, is a 66-year-old male, like the Union Health Ministry briefed us earlier. Now, he had arrived in Bengaluru on the 20th. He had come via Dubai from South Africa. He was vaccinated with both the doses. He's travelled on the 20th with a negative report from South Africa. He was screened and tested at the Kempegowda International Airport. He checked into a hotel on the 20th and the tests were positive. Now, we should understand here that on the 22nd, his test samples were collected and sent for genome sequencing. The BBMP has done this at that point in time. And he took a self-investigation at a private lab and the report was negative. However, on the 22nd and the 23rd of November, the team collected samples from the 240 secondary contacts. All of them have fortunately tested negative. So he had about 240 secondary contacts.
Okay.
Now, we should also know that he has traveled to Dubai. And we should know that he's taken a cab as well. So the flight, the passengers on these flights as well now will have to be checked. If they have moved to other states as well, then the BBMP or the health department in Karnataka will be sharing these details with the other states. The 46-year-old male is believed to be a health worker. There were CT scans that were done, after which they did a test as well, and they realized that he was positive too, and a genome sequencing has revealed that he too is carrying the...
Deepak, because we will come back to you in a bit when the Health Minister gives even more details. But let me also bring in Dr. Naresh Trehan, Chairman and MD of Medanta, joining us live now. According to the information that we have so far, I want to, pose a few questions to you, Dr. Trehan. First of all, this 66-year-old male who's tested positive in Karnataka, he traveled from South Africa and the report that he had was a negative one. So, what do you make of this? He tested before he left South Africa, his report was negative, and yet now he's positive.
So, one thing, the incubation period can be longer. So it does not mean that if the first day that you are going to be sort of positive, that it'll come you may have the virus in your back of your throat or in the lungs and still not be able to be tested positive. That's why we say that people who are negative and highly suspicious background, then they should be isolated and tested again at 6-7 days. So one thing is that was the lab that did the test accurate? They could have missed it at the lab. A lot of people are traveling, they say, with fake certificates. Or is it that possibly that it is not detectable at the first sight, but the virus multiplies and then becomes positive after 1 or 2 or 3 days. So these are all things that can happen. So I would not speculate on it, but the point is that you have to be very vigilant. That's why they are saying people who are coming from countries, which are countries of suspicion that it is spreading there, then we need to be doubly careful with them and actually isolate them. Put them in quarantine. Put them in quarantine for a week and test them again before you release them, because this is something that we cannot be careless about.
And to be fair, this is exactly how this gentleman was also discovered as positive, because he was traveling from South Africa. He was put into a hotel and within a few hours, his tests had come out positive. Now, the other thing is that he at least had 1 dose of vaccine that he had already taken. Your thoughts on that?
So what protection this vaccine is giving against Omicron is still not very clear. But the point is that so far what South Africa is reporting and so what the other countries are reporting is that the people who have been vaccinated twice are actually getting a very mild case of it. And it's very possible that people who have received 1 dose even have got enough immunity from that to be able to just fight it with mild symptoms. So that's a good thing. It's known that even once dose has been given is giving protection. Now, the other thing that must be looked at is, did this gentleman ever get COVID before, or did he ever get tested before in the sense of his antibodies?
Okay.
Because a lot of people have developed passive antibodies from passive exposure.
But, you know, let's also look at the positives, the fact that he is 66 years old and yet he is asymptomatic and he's said to be in a stable condition. So would you say not to read too much into that, or you would see that as a positive sign?
No, it's certainly encouraging that there are the reports from around the world are coming which say that yes, the people are experiencing mild symptoms. So that's encouraging, but it's not conclusive yet, because there's not enough data. That is one part. Now, the other part, which is also a problem, is that how fast does it spread? What is the R0 factor? If the R0 factor is what they are estimating as somewhere around between 12 and 18 or even higher, then we have a problem, because no matter how mild you are, but you still have the virus. And you will still have the effects of it and the myalgia and maybe low fever, but you will not feel 100% well for long periods of time.
Okay.
So it's not that you have to be careless and say, well, even if I get it, it will be mild and then the whole country will get it. No.
Yeah.
The point is we must protect ourselves. It is no fun getting it, whether it is mild or severe. Be careful.
Absolutely.
Everything we can exercise, the 3 things that of the COVID appropriate behavior, the government is doing a bang-up job of restricting travel, testing them vigorously, surveying them and isolating them. And so these things, if we keep doing, hopefully we will be able to contain it and it will not spread throughout the country like the second wave with Delta virus that actually went wild.
Absolutely. So the idea is not to lull people into any sense of being lax or to think this is not such a big deal and they can afford to let their guard down. It's just to put all the information out there and have the experts analyze it. And for that, Dr. Trehan, thank you very much for joining us. We, of course, await more details on both the 66-year-old and the 46-year-old who have tested positive now.